What is the weather like in Franklin, Tennessee? Now, this is a question I get all the time. People want to know, do we have 4 seasons? What is the weather like here? So that is exactly what I'm diving into in today's video.
Everybody, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. My name is Caitlin Davis and I'm a local Nashville real estate agent. I specialize in helping out-of-state buyers make the move to the Middle Tennessee area. Okay, so today's topic, what is the weather like in Franklin, Nashville? Basically, we're gonna be covering what the weather is like in the Middle Tennessee area. So the biggest thing is, do we have 4 seasons? And the answer is yes, absolutely we do. Now, let's talk a little bit more about what each season looks like. So let's go ahead and dive into what is typically the most brutal time of year. And no, it's actually not winter. It's gonna be summertime for us. So summer, of course, by the calendar is gonna be June through September, but really and truly here, we start to get really warm in May and sometimes in April, but April's kind of one of those like interesting months that sometimes it can be warm, sometimes it can still be kind of cool. May is typically when we start to see temperatures hit 80 and then they quickly soar into the 90s within a matter of a couple of days to a few weeks. Now, June is when it starts to become a real scorcher, and that is when we traditionally have our CMA Fest. So you've got the heat of the South bearing down on us, and then you have hundreds of thousands of people that descend upon Nashville, and it gets really hot around the downtown area. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. And then also, that heat really continues. July and August are historically our hottest months, and it is not unheard of for us to reach triple digits. And it really, you gotta think you're mixing in that real heat with the humidity, and it gets really uncomfortable outside. So basically, I like to say if you are not near a body of water, it's gonna be really hard to be outside for long periods of time. So if you have a pool, either in your backyard or in your neighborhood, you're probably going to be at it a lot because it tends to just reach this high level of heat and humidity where it's just really uncomfortable and it starts to become unsafe to be outside. Now, again, that typically only lasts from July through August, so it's 2 months out of the year. And again, if you are near a body of water, if you have a boat, if you go to the lake, if you're by a pool, you're gonna be able to enjoy the actual warmth of summer versus, anyone who does not have any of those luxuries. So you can expect the summer months to be hot. You do have to factor in the humidity. I know out west, you typically deal with no humidity or it's a dry heat, but here, we're talking high humidity. The air is thick, you walk outside, you're sticky, and that's just something to be expected. And then summer rolls into my personal favorite time of year here, which is gonna be fall. I absolutely love fall. So typically in the fall starts to come around sometimes in September. If we're lucky, you can start to get those cooler mornings and the cooler nights that are a welcomed breath of fresh air after dealing with the scorcher of a summer that we've just been through. And then really and truly October is when you start to get that true traditional fall feel. And it's really normally pretty nice. Now here's the thing. So yes, traditionally winter starts in December, but we really do start to hit that cooler, you're gonna need a jacket kind of weather once we get into November. Now it's not unheard of for us to continue to have spikes of warm days throughout November and December. And so actually the last couple of years, believe it or not, Christmas Day here in the mid-state area was in the 70s the past couple of years. So even though you may get those really chilly days, and by chilly, I'm gonna be talking about you start to get into the 40s, 50s, sometimes it does dip into the 30s as you start to head from November down to December, right? And so you do need a jacket for sure, but again, it's not unheard of to continue to have a couple of
warm days that pop up in between, and they're normally like really nice to have, just because once we do hit the winter, our traditional coldest months are gonna be between January and February. Now, when I say cold, when I say winter, you know, typical temperatures for us for those times of year tend to be between 30 and 50 degrees. Now, we do head into the 20s sometimes in the morning, and we have been known to hit the high teens, but those aren't, you know, that's not a day in, day out thing. It may be like we hit a real cold front, it dips for a few days, and then it comes back up to those more mild-like temperatures. People wanna know, do we get snow? Do we get ice? The answer is gonna be yes, but it's not that often, right? So since I've been in Nashville the last 7 years, we've had a couple of snowfalls. Some of them have reached 6, 8 inches, I believe, but traditionally, our snowfall is gonna be 1 to 2 inches, if that. And heads up for anyone that may be coming from the northern part of the US, when we even have a hint of snowfall, things basically shut down around here, and we're just kind of like everybody else that doesn't really know how to deal with snow, in terms of you just watch the bread and milk and eggs fly off the shelves. It's just what happens around here. But we are pretty good about getting salt down on the road, so you are able to get back on the roads pretty quickly. And yes, we have ice, but it's not, I mean, we're talking once every few years traditionally. Of course, like, watch, I'll say this, and then there'll be a huge ice storm come like January 2021. Hopefully not, but we're not big on ice storms, but yes, they have happened before. And so another thing to know about our winters is that they're normally cloudy and rainy. And so they can feel really kind of miserable those couple of months that we're trudging through it. And traditionally that is gonna be just January and February, when we're gonna see a lot of cloud cover, a lot of rain, cold temperatures. It's really just that yucky kind of feel of year, but it does happen. And then March, again, March is gonna start to be that transitional month where you do typically get a lot of cooler days, but then you start to see the temperatures creep back up towards the upper 50s and 60s. Although, hey, we have been known to have a snowfall in March. So you know, these are not hard and fast rules. These are just what I've typically seen happen, again, over the last 7 years. And then of course, spring gets ushered in. And so spring, it starts to kind of creep in, like I said, around March, but really by April, you're starting to get those spring temperatures. Spring tends to be a really nice time of year. The flowers start to come in bloom. You start to get the baby leaves on the trees, and it's really a beautiful time of year. But spring can feel like it's very short, because we can transition, once we come out of winter, we can transition pretty quickly to the 80s here in Tennessee. So, you know, spring is one where you start to get that, you know, okay, the warm temperatures are here, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, it's like 90 degrees around here. That's traditionally what our weather looks like here in the mid-state area. Of course, there are exceptions, but you know, we do have those true 4 seasons, even if spring or sometimes fall may feel shortened, just because sometimes, you know, we've been known to go from cold to hot really quickly, and from hot to cold really quickly as well. But I hope this helps to give you a little bit of a better idea of what we deal with in terms of the weather around here. Yes, we do deal with snow. We have been known to deal with ice. Those aren't major things. Now, people do ask me, do we get tornadoes here? The answer is going to be yes. As you may or may not know, in March of 2020, we did have a big tornado hit the Germantown, Donaldson, Hermitage area, and then continue further east towards Cookeville, which is about an hour east of the Nashville area. So yes, we do get tornadoes. Typically one of that size is not common, and typically they're gonna hit in more rural areas, but it is something to just kind of keep an eye out for. Speaking of tornadoes, there are tornado sirens, which if you haven't experienced that before, that is just something to be aware of. So yes, we do deal with it. And when hurricane season comes, traditionally we're not in the direct path of where the hurricane's gonna hit, but we do tend to get some of the outer bands that can hit us from time to time and cause some severe weather. But for the most part, we fare all right when it comes to hurricane season. And again, I feel like I'm gonna say all of this and then watch, like we'll start getting hit with everything that I say we don't traditionally get hit with, which I hope is not the case, but you know, right now it's 2020, and that just kind of seems to be the way that things are going right now. So I hope that this was helpful. If you ever have questions about the weather or more specific questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. All of my contact information is gonna be below, and be sure to subscribe because each week I'm rolling out new video content about what it is to move to the mid-state area, the Franklin area, all the things that you need to know basically about moving to Tennessee. So be sure to subscribe and stay tuned. I'm 𝐋𝐈𝐊 Davis, and I'll see you next time.